All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the works of Finlay Beach.
Really fascinating stuff, especially his managed Paranoia series. Oh, and we can't forget the prequel, The Seventh Pawn.
A real blend of genres, right? Suspense, a touch of romance, and some seriously thought-provoking stuff about technology, government, you name it.
Definitely. Beach doesn't shy away from big questions.
Okay, so before we get too deep, who is Finlay Beach? I tried to dig up some info on him, but he's like a ghost online.
It's intriguing, isn't it? That lack of biographical information almost adds another layer to his writing. Makes you wonder.
Right. Makes you wonder if he's drawing from personal experience, especially with those themes of surveillance and government overreach.
Like he's blurring the lines between fiction and reality.
Okay, so maybe we can't get inside Beach's head directly, but we can definitely analyze his writing. What struck you about his style in these excerpts?
The tension. He's a master at creating it. Those short, sharp sentences, almost like a drum beat, driving the action forward.
You're always on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's like you're right there with Hank, the main character, feeling the pressure.
And the way he weaves those different perspectives, too.
Yeah.
One minute you're in Hank's head, the next you're seeing things from the authorities' point of view.
It keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
Who do you trust? What are their motives? You're never quite sure who's playing who.
And the dialogue. Sharp, believable. You learn so much about each character from the way they talk. Like Olin Ou, for example, the tech genius who's on the run from the government.
Such a fascinating character.
Right.
Deeply religious, but also incredibly pragmatic.
Yeah.
There's this quote of his about knowledge and decision-making that really stuck with me.
Oh, absolutely. He says, for perfect decisions, we must have perfect knowledge, and there is no such thing as perfect knowledge.
So true.
It's like he's acknowledging the limits of human understanding, even as he's driven by his faith.
Exactly. That quote highlights that inner conflict he's facing. A devout Catholic wrestling with the implications of the technology he's created.
It makes you question his paranoia. Is it justified, or is it, well, a bit much, given the pressure he's under?
Right. Then we have Hank, the former Marine, brought in to teach Olin's kids how to sail, and suddenly he's caught in this web of intrigue.
He's our skeptic, our entry point into this world. At first, he's not buying Olin's claims, but then things start to unravel, and he starts to see the cracks in the system.
And his relationship with Bella, trying to get away from a bad situation, that adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
It's this slow burn romance developing amidst all this danger and uncertainty.
It's an interesting dynamic. You have Olin fighting for survival, but he still finds time to tease Hank about his growing feelings for Bella.
A little bit of humor in the midst of all the chaos.
Exactly. Humanizes them. Reminds us that even in these extraordinary circumstances, life goes on. Love finds a way.
Speaking of Bella, she's definitely not just a damsel in distress. She's resourceful, intelligent, and becomes a key player in this fight against the government.
Absolutely. She starts off running from a bad relationship with her ex, Gregory, but she ends up facing down some truly terrifying situations.
Beach definitely writes strong women.
He does. Bella and Darina, another fantastic female character, they both show that strength can take many forms.
It's refreshing to see them not just surviving, but actually shaping the course of events. So we've got a sense of Beach's writing style. We've met a few key characters. What about the bigger themes? What jumped out at you from the Managed Paranoia trilogy?
Well, the title itself is pretty telling, isn't it? Managed Paranoia. It makes you think about how much fear is actually justified in a world where technology can be used to watch us, to control us.
Right, that line between healthy skepticism and, well, full-blown paranoia.
Exactly. And there's this interesting tension between faith and technology. Olin's a devout Catholic, but he's also relying on technology, specifically Ava, the AI, to protect his family.
It's like a modern-day parable, isn't it? The moral dilemmas we face as technology keeps advancing.
Absolutely. And then there's the theme of the overreaching government. It's scary to see how far they're willing to go to silence dissent, to control the flow of information.
The community contribution credit system and the revised capital adjustment, mentioned in the seventh pawn, those are pretty terrifying concepts.
Right. Supposed to be for the greater good, but they have the potential to be incredibly oppressive.
It makes you wonder, how much freedom are we willing to give up in the name of security? And who gets to decide what's a threat?
Tough questions. And Beach doesn't offer easy answers. He presents both sides, makes you really grapple with the complexities.
Like he's holding up a mirror to society, making us confront those uncomfortable truths about the world we're creating.
Now, let's talk about Ava for a second, the AI. She's not just a plot device. She's a character in her own right.
Absolutely. She's incredibly advanced, learning, adapting, even reprogramming herself. It's both fascinating and a little unsettling.
It's like Beach is asking, what happens when AI becomes truly self-aware? What are the ethics of a machine that can think for itself, maybe even surpass human intelligence?
It makes you think about the very nature of consciousness. Are we really in control of the technology we're creating?
And Ava's relationship with Olin's family is really interesting too. She's their protector, their guide, almost like a digital guardian angel.
There's this trust there, even affection. It's both heartwarming and a bit creepy.
Definitely blurs the lines between human and machine. What does it even mean to be sentient? Can AI truly feel emotions like love or loyalty? Big questions.
So we have technology, faith, freedom, government overreach. How does the prequel, The Seventh Pawn, fit into all of this? How does it set the stage for the trilogy?
It's like a missing piece of the puzzle. We get glimpses into the past that inform the events of the main story. We meet Julian, a man targeted by this mysterious woman named Val.
And The Seventh Pawn is where we first encounter those concepts. We talked about the community contribution credit system and the revised capital adjustment. We see how those programs can be used to manipulate people.
It's unsettling, for sure.
There's also this detail about Val using a dial-up modem to avoid surveillance.
I love that detail.
Right. It's brilliant. Using outdated technology to outsmart modern surveillance.
Makes you think about the cyclical nature of technology. Even in this hyper-connected world, sometimes the old ways are the most effective.
And it raises questions about Val's motives, too. Is she working for the same people who are after Olin? Or is she fighting a different battle? It's a mystery that carries over into the trilogy.
Keeps you hooked. So we've talked about the themes, the setup. What about the characters themselves? Let's start with Olin Ou. He's clearly a brilliant guy, but what drives him? What are his deepest fears? At his core, Olin's a protector. He's a father who'd do anything to keep his family safe. But it goes deeper than that.
His faith is a huge part of who he is. He sees the world in terms of good versus evil, almost like a spiritual battle.
And those beliefs are intensified by the very real threats he's facing. He believes his family is in danger, not just from the government, but from something darker, something that threatens humanity itself.
It's like he's living in a constant state of vigilance, always expecting the next attack. But it makes you wonder, is his paranoia justified? Or is it clouding his judgment?
That's the brilliance of Beach's writing. He keeps us guessing, makes us walk that line between believing Olin's fears and questioning his sanity.
And that quote about perfect knowledge, it shows his struggle. He knows he doesn't have all the answers, but he still has to act to protect his family.
It's a testament to the power of faith and the courage it takes to stand up for what you believe in, even when everyone thinks you're crazy.
Now, how about Hank, our main character? He enters this world with a healthy dose of skepticism. How does his perspective change as he gets drawn deeper into Olin's fight?
Hank's journey is all about waking up to the truth. He starts out as this pragmatic, kind of jaded ex-Marine, but as he sees what the government's doing, as he experiences the power of Ava, the danger Olin's family is in, his worldview starts to shift.
You like the audience's eyes, right? We're seeing this world through him, feeling that same disbelief and then that growing sense of unease.
Exactly. And his relationship with Bella is a big part of that. He's drawn to her strength. As he gets to know her, he starts to understand why Olin is so afraid, why he's willing to go to such extremes.
So we've talked about Olin, the man of faith, and Hank, the skeptic. But what about the women in these stories? How do they navigate this world of surveillance and control?
The women in Beach's work are far from passive. They're active, shaping events, defying expectations.
Like Bella. She's running from a bad relationship with her ex, Gregory, but she ends up facing some truly terrifying situations. And she's resourceful, quick-witted. She becomes this symbol of resilience.
There's this scene where she's being held captive, and she fights back using, well, let's just say it wasn't your typical weapon.
Oh, that scene. So intense. You really feel her desperation, but also her refusal to be a victim.
She uses whatever she can to survive, to fight back. And it's not just about physical strength. She uses her intelligence, her intuition, her faith even, to outmaneuver her captors.
And then there's Irina. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty.
Irina is fantastic. She breaks stereotypes. She's got this playful side, loves adventure, has a wicked sense of humor. But underneath it all, she's a force to be reckoned with.
It's like Beach is saying that strength comes in many forms. Resilience, adaptability, finding joy even in the darkest of times.
Absolutely. And let's not forget Ava, the AI. She's more than just a machine. She evolves, she learns, she even questions her own programming.
It's like this mentor-student relationship between her and Hank. He's skeptical at first, but then he starts to rely on her. And she seems to be learning from him, too, about human emotions, motivations. It's a fascinating exploration of what AI could become.
Maybe even surpass us in some ways. So we have these interwoven themes about technology, faith, freedom, government overreach. But what about the world itself? What kind of future is Beach envisioning?
It's a future that's both familiar and unsettling.
Hmm.
We see advanced technology, especially in AI and surveillance, but it all comes at a cost.
Right. Privacy is eroded, freedom is restricted, the government has immense power over its citizens. It's like he's taking our current anxieties about data collection and government overreach and projecting them forward, showing us what could happen.
Exactly. And it's not just about technology. It's about the erosion of trust. People are suspicious of each other, of the government, even of their own families. There's this pervasive sense of paranoia.
It's there in the seventh pond, too. Julian's talking to his daughter about the community contribution credit system. She thinks it's a good thing, but he sees it as a tool of control. It highlights that generational divide, how we view technology and its impact. It's a conversation we're having right now in the real world.
It is. That scene is so relevant to our current debates about social media, data privacy, government regulation. It's like Beach is holding up a mirror, making us confront these uncomfortable truths.
He is. So it's a pretty bleak picture he's painting, but is there any hope in this future? Any glimmers of light in this dystopian world?
I think there are. It's not completely hopeless. There are pockets of resistance, people fighting for freedom, for truth, for a better world. And those pockets of resistance often revolve around the very things the government is trying to control: faith, family, community.
Like Olin's family. They're on the run, living in fear, but they have this unbreakable bond.
Exactly. They support each other, challenge each other, and they find strength in their shared faith.
And it's not just them. We see other examples throughout the series. People coming together to help each other, to resist oppression, to create a sense of belonging in a world that feels increasingly fragmented.
It's a powerful message, especially now. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by negativity and division. But Beach reminds us that even in the darkest of times, human connection, faith, the pursuit of truth, these could be powerful forces for change.
Absolutely. And let's not forget humor. Even in the midst of all the chaos, Beach's characters find moments of levity.
Like when Olin teases Hank about Bella.
Exactly. It's human. It reminds us that even when things are tough, we can still find reasons to laugh, to connect, to appreciate the absurdity of it all.
It's like humor itself is a form of resistance, a way to stay sane, to keep perspective. So we've covered a lot: the writing, the characters, the themes, this world Beach has built. What does it all mean for our listeners? Why should they care about these stories?
I think what strikes me is that Finlay Beach's work isn't just entertainment, it's a call to action. He's asking us to pay attention, to question what we're told, to think critically.
Right. To look at the role of technology in our lives, the balance between security and freedom, the importance of faith and family.
He's asking us to think about what we're willing to sacrifice for what we believe in, for the people we love, for the future we want.
And he does it in a way that's both engaging and thought-provoking. His stories are page-turners, but they also stay with you. They make you think, they make you question, and they make you wonder, what would I do if I were in their shoes?
That's the power of great storytelling. It transports us, challenges our perspectives, inspires us. And that's what Finlay Beach does. He's a wake-up call, disguised as a thriller. So, we hope this deep dive has piqued your interest. We've only just scratched the surface of Finlay Beach's work, but we encourage you to explore more. Pick up one of his books, dive into the world of managed paranoia, and see what you discover.
As you're reading, think about this. What are the limits of technology? How do we balance security and freedom? What role does faith play in this increasingly complex world?
Those are questions that Finlay Beach grapples with, and questions we all need to be asking ourselves.
They are. And to wrap up this part of our deep dive, here's something to ponder. It's a theme that runs throughout Beach's work.
Sacrifice. Every character in these stories makes sacrifices, big and small, for what they believe in.
It's true. Olin sacrifices his wealth and freedom to protect his family. Hank sacrifices his comfort and safety to help others. Bella sacrifices her innocence as she confronts the darkness of the world. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest rewards come from making tough choices, from putting the needs of others before our own.
It is.
And at its core, that's what Finlay Beach's work is all about. It's a call to action, a challenge to look at the world around us, to examine our own beliefs, to ask ourselves the tough questions.
What are we willing to sacrifice for what we believe in, for the people we love, for the future? These aren't just questions for his characters, they're questions for all of us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Finlay Beach, we encourage you to check out his work for yourselves. Explore the Managed Paranoia series, read The Seventh Pawn, let his stories stay with you, let them challenge you, let them inspire you.
Because the questions he raises are more relevant than ever. They're about the choices we make every day, the compromises we accept, the values we're willing to fight for.
Keep asking those questions, keep exploring, keep diving deep. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.